words to strengthen the relationship between Brazil and Africa. Good morning, you all. It's such an honor to address this group, greeting particularly João Bosco, that I met some 10 years ago. I cannot recall if it was when I left the Defense Ministry or in between the Foreign Affairs Ministry and the Defense Ministry, I don't know, but that was another, much more than a dream rather than a rational idea at that point. And I can say that because at that time, after serving Lula's administration, during the 8 years of Lula's administration from 2003 to 2010, the efforts that we had to engage business people in other sectors of the society. And today, we see, Ambassador Carlos Duarte, subsecretary that looks after this area, but the society that was ahead of the government with initiatives that tries to bring Brazil and Africa closer. It's important to have an event like that in such a severe moment that humankind is facing. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mauro Vieira, is in New York trying, again, to see if a resolution can be approved by the Security Council of the UN, not only to defend all those that are suffering in Gaza Strip and the Israeli people that has been suffering from this terrorist attack, but not only that, but also to defend the United Nations. So how can the United Nations be so without doing what they can in a situation like that? I can say I've been involved in diplomacy for over 60 years. I'm 82 now, so I have never seen such a severe condition in the world, even during the missile crisis in Cuba, where all of us were in danger or at risk. I think there wasn't this hatred, dissemination, such a polarization as severe as we have today. There was some kind of, within the irrationality of a nuclear war, there was some rationality in the way that the facts were going on. There was this red telephone to man, Kennedy and Khrushchev, and they came to an agreement. So we had a much more severe condition with two wars going on, and we see a weakened United Nations. So this is quite concerning to us all. So this somehow highlights the importance of this event. So when we see those threats in the world, the strategy, the threat of a bigger destruction ahead, and in the meanwhile, this event is an event of approximation. So I think Brazil and Africa, including the Latin America, but the event is Brazil-Africa, we have this friendship among people, among continents. That is the example we have to set and follow to ensure the security of mankind. I have presented a longer speech with several quotes or mentioning several events that happened in the past, but I decided not to read because I don't want to make this audience tired, that want to hear about practical things in the future. We have a personal connection with Africa that comes from the old times, because my generation was educated seeing the fall or the decline of the European colonialism. Heroes in my times had Grumman, Ghana, and other leaders, Lumumba, other leaders that made the hope of something new that Africa was bringing to humankind. A feeling that we are a unique, only one humankind, and we have to stress this common feature that is over any other possible differences. So I was brought up in this kind of generation in times that were not so positive in Brazil, but even facing tough times in the military government we had in Brazil, and Brazil was the first country to recognize the government of Angola after a long civil war in 1975. And later of our efforts that I was part of, such as the creation of the community of the Portuguese-speaking countries, José Aparecido, Minister of Culture, and other events, but nothing like what we had in Lula's administration. I can mention some facts. We have doubled the number of embassies in Africa, going from 18 to 36. The commerce that was $5 billion, small amount, especially for considering the minister of the Arab Emirates minister, but it was 8 millions in a few years in spite of Lehman Brothers crisis. So the growth was really big. Brazil made 450, 480 projects of technical cooperation in Africa. Just to give you an idea, by the way, we can maybe inspire the possibility of trilateral agreements involving the Arab Emirates as well. And I can mention like a factory that was to be anti-retroviral, but it's a pharmaceutical industry in an African country. We also had Embrapa, the Brazilian company of agricultural research, helping in planting cotton in West Africa countries, and I took part in the collection of cotton in Mali to win this, subsidize this war within the countries involved. So there are many other episodes, as well as Fuel Cruz and Embrapa and other projects that were made. We have around 480 projects of technical cooperation with Africa. After Lula and Dilma's administration, there was a change in Brazil. In the other administrations we had, and again, we have this hope again. President Lula made his first visit to Africa, to South Africa, and São Tomé and Príncipe in the multilateral events, but especially Angola as a symbol. Angola was a symbol of taking, again, the politics between Brazil and Africa, and it's a priority now again. So I dare to say, speaking not on behalf of him, but inspired by him, I would say that next year will be the year of Africa. This year, Brazil had to be inserted in the world again. President Lula was present in many international events, bringing the integration of South America and Latin America, and this symbolic visit to Angola next year, I think there will be much more attention to Africa. That's the message that I bring from President Lula towards Africa. And I just want to make a reflection, and with this I will finish my talk, that we have, well, first of all, I am so glad to see LATAM among the sponsors of this event. If I were to mention a problem with our relationships with Africa, is this lack of transportation, either air or by the ocean. So this would be a great advancement. We have had many more airlines in the past between Brazil and Africa, but today we basically have none. I'm glad to know that South Africa is back, and especially maybe the Emirates can provide some kind of help in terms of airlines having Africa in the middle of this way.
So also, it's important to point out that our relationship with Africa at the moment, currently, and going forward, should consider not only a vision that is positive, but it was a little paternalistic in the past, how Brazil could help African countries. But now we have this idea that Africa is a huge continent. Excluding China, it is the area that has grown the most in the recent history. And so we've seen a lot of growth in Africa, new sectors, a lot of industrialization that has come about, and things like digital identity and other issues. And I think basically we ignored those issues in the past. So I think there is this new perspective of not only contributing to African development, but of working together. Brazilian and African entrepreneurs working together in sectors like agriculture, in these new areas that have come up. For example, artificial intelligence. There are many areas that we can work together in forestry, in climate, in all these different areas. And so we can contribute mutually to greater development, to greater equality in our countries. President Lula had a goal, a priority in the G20 meeting for the development and the relationship with Africa, and to try and combat inequality in the world. So this is his main and overarching goal. So, and I believe that this meeting here is a representation of this goal, this objective that our president has. A forum has also been created between there was a proposal for a meeting between Brazil and South America. First it was Brazil and Africa, but President Lula preferred that it be between Africa and South America, between our two continents. So I think that's something that we could take up again, and it's a symbol of peace. There's no way that we can ignore that we kind of assumed that peace was something, that was a given, that we took for granted. So it's like the air we breathe. You only value it when you don't have it, when it's gone. So our goal is, and our mission is, to work for the development of our two continents, to reduce the inequalities, and also to live in a peaceful world. We need to respect the planet, respect nature, preserve our planet for future generations, and a large part of the youth, I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, but around 50% of the young people in the world will be living in Africa in the next 30 to 50 years. So we need to